Hello, welcome back to I Got Board Game. I got board game.
I got a game.
I am Ben,
I'm Daniel.
and today we are here with another first impressions video for you on a small game from a much less known company. I believe they're from, I hope I'm not wrong about this. I think they're Singapore. I think it's Singapore.
You say it with enough conviction, it is.
Then they'll move there to make
No move there. It
It's a
is
small
from
game
Singapore.
that was on Kickstarter. This company's actually had a few Kickstarter games that were all pretty small, really good price point, uh, very unique themes. And this time we will be giving our first impressions on Outstyle.
Oh, my hands are cut off.
I don't
That way,
think
no.
your hands are getting cut off. I think my camera, I don't have the autofocus on, but hopefully you can see how stylish Outstyle looks. Hopefully you can tell it's a basketball game.
Oh, it's a basketball. These are basketballs.
Oh, yeah, there you go in your background. So it comes in this small tin, and is very well priced on Kickstarter. I think I want to say something like
$2.
$12 or something.
Maybe a little. That's a little.
Like I'm pretty sure under $20. So yeah, maybe around 12, but very good price. And so we're gonna give our first impressions because we got to play it for the first time a couple weeks ago. And so yeah, our first thoughts after playing just the first game and like basically learning it and playing it that first time. Just a general idea. Again, we're not gonna give the rules with this first impressions, but the whole idea is to just share some initial thoughts with you that we had on the game before we get to play it more and form like a final, more detailed review. Just our initial thoughts, things that stuck out, maybe things we, just thought about the theme, mechanics, everything coming together in the production. And then so it can help you to see if you're interested, would want to check it out, or even check out our review, hopefully in the future at some point when we've played it more. And so, but the general idea of the game, like I said, is that it is a basketball card game. And the way it captures that is the whole game is just these cards. And so you can see the art style on it, which I think is actually pretty cool, pretty stylish way of going about the characters.
Outstyle. We gotta.
And so you'll have a few characters dealt to you. It is I think primarily a 1v1 game, even though the box does say there's like solo and 4-player mode, so probably like 2v2.
2v2.
But we played it 1v1, and I think that might be the original idea behind it. And so you'll have like your team of characters, which basically function as abilities, sometimes passive in scoring, I think, but sometimes also just one-time use for the game. And then you'll also have your defense deck, which are all these kind of like basketball moves, blocking, trying to steal the ball. And you'll have your offense deck, which is a much bigger deck because it has much more, it needs more cards to be randomized with different values on them of like skill values. Am I pointing at it? Skill values, style points, and lockdown value. And then, so the general way it's going to work is one person's going to be offense, one person's going to be defense, and that can switch during the game if the defense can steal the ball from the offense. And so they're both going to draw from their respective decks. And the way it's going to work is the offense is always going to start by playing a card. And each card they play is basically a distance that they're moving closer to the basket. I think it was, what was it? Was it like one?
Ooh.
Huh?
I think I want to say like 6. Well, I wasn't able to recall the numbers that it moved, but
Oh, I think it's
then.
meters. So every card is like
Oh,
represents like 1 meter you're moving closer to the basket. And so you want to get closer to the basket so that then you could eventually play like a shoot card to try to make the basket. While the defense can respond, doesn't have to, but can respond by playing a card to try to steal the ball. And the way they'll steal it is if they're not with the block card. Block is for blocking the shot, but it's their skill value plus whatever lockdown value on cards that the offense has already played is greater than, or maybe equal to also, right?
Yeah, I
Uh,
feel.
I
Yeah.
think greater than or equal to the skill value of the most recent card that the offense has played.
Mhm.
And so yeah, that's mainly how it's going to go. The offense will play a card, see if the defense responds with a card or not. They can decide. The offense will score points, style points, because it's all about kind of stylish street basketball.
Mm,
And so they'll score the style points on the card they played, then play their next card to move closer to the basket. And eventually, either the defense can play a defense card to try to steal the ball, and then the players will switch sides and redraw cards as the new offense and the new defense. Or eventually, the offense can try to play a shoot card with a certain skill value to try to make it into the basket at that point. And then the person who ends up making 2 baskets or reaching 42 style points first wins. So you can win actually with baskets or with your style. And so that's essentially how the game plays in a very brief way. And so getting into our first impressions, one thing, I guess the small thing I want to say first as a positive for me is
it's so cheap. No, I'm kidding.
yeah, that is a positive. Like with all the games by Medieval Lords is the company, the publisher. Yeah, their price points on Kickstarter are great. So it's like I think it's really kind of cheap to just try out. You know, if the idea is interesting to you, the games do seem to play differently. Because the other game we have played by them also recently was uh, what's it called? Shake Up,
Oh, yeah, shake up, shake up.
which
Mhm.
was a 1v1 like accounting kind of well, no, not accounting, sorry,
They call it
management
reverse
card
deck
game
building, but deck
of
building still.
of promoting and firing employees to keep your company going. And then they
Yes.
also have another game that was a volleyball card game, anime themed volleyball card game. And then there's like this one now out style. So my pro that made it stick out to me was actually that like the theme is very different. You don't see
Mhm.
these themes much in board gaming, and I think that can appeal to people, right? So that's a good thing. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'll just say that pro for now, simple one. But I don't know if you want to get into your thoughts, Daniel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think they touch. I mean, I think theme and alignment of the game mechanics and theme is going to be both a pro and a con for me. In the sense that in some instances they do it pretty well, and in other instances I'm not really seeing what they're trying to go after. And so for the pro, I think I like the. I mean, really boil. I think I was talking to Ben before this, but it really boils down to kind of war, the playing card game where you just compare 2 numbers, whichever is greater wins. You take that and you add it into kind of your. That's pretty much how you advance the ball and ultimately how you shoot the ball. It really is just comparing numbers. But unlike war, you do have a hand where you can choose which number to play, and so the idea for the offensive side, or the player who's on the offense, is to barely beat out the defensive player if they choose to play a card at that stage. And I'm no basketball player, but it does seem like you even real basketball, there's some kind of mind game action going on. You want to get in your opponent's head, you want to kind of juke them or like break their ankles or whatever. But like, so there's
Their
kind
ankles.
I mean, ankle breaking, right? That's a term they use. I'm the new, I think.
Just like
I'm
kick them.
shoot the ankle, and there we go. It shimmed right past them.
Yeah, you're no basketball player.
But anyways, so yeah, there's kind of a gamesmanship, a mind game kind of action in real basketball, which I think is nicely-ish captured with the kind of playing cards and trying to beat out your opponent. I mean, within the $12 limit. I'd be like, you're limited by resources here. But anyways, I'll throw price out. I shouldn't keep referring to price. But I like that kind of aspect of it. And the whole distance, the whole further away you are, the harder it is to actually score your goal. I think all of these themes kind of line up. And then there's also part of the game is passing. There's a passing app a passing what's the word aspect the passing aspect when you're on offense. So you do get to essentially it gives the offense a chance to kind of regroup themselves and then they kind of lose a couple of style points or no, not they don't lose. The defense gains some style points and has a chance to also regroup. So essentially it gives the offense a slight advantage by regrouping, but also the defense as well. I think it's slightly more of an advantage for the offense. But in any case, they tried to incorporate that aspect of real basketball in the card game, which I think it was a good attempt. And so
yeah, on the idea of passing, that was like one of the mechanics I didn't mention. But yeah, it's a way where then it kind of allows all the lockdown values on the cards that the offense had played already to be reset or basically ignored. And then, but then the defense gets style points when the offense passes, because the idea they even say in the rules, it's like they were good enough to kind of force the offense to need a pass. So get some style points for that, and then get to reshuffle and redraw their defense cards.
Yeah.
And so that was a cool implementation of like how to do that and keep it as like another option versus just being like, I just have to keep playing cards until I hopefully get close enough and not have the ball stolen, right? It's not like that straightforward, which was a smart addition to the game.
I think I know when we played, you did well. You did well to pass. I was like, I'm a one player, one person, just pass and just slowly dribble all the way to the end and then miss.
I think that's part of the cool decision making, right? That since it adds that option, then it comes down to your timing of when you do it, right? Because if you do it too often, you're giving too many points to the defense and maybe refilling their hand of cards with cards that will help them steal the ball from you.
That's
right?
true.
And so, I think that was good. And and just kind of going back on this point too, that like in comparing it to War, that is kind of like that, the number comparing is, that kind of big part of it. But it's not to say that it is mindless, not like you're just drawing a card and playing it, right? You're still deciding which card. And so again, I think that is a good way of having that decision-making point to it and that kind of mind games that can happen in that.
As an aside, I Googled. So breaking ankles is a term in basketball. So I'm not just making stuff up here. According to, that's a website on Google. Good enough. But it says it refers to when an offensive basketball player performs a dribbling move with the ball, usually a crossover that causes the defender to either lose balance or fall to the ground.
Yeah, that makes
sense. Not that much a noob.
Okay, then I'm a noob. I don't know. I didn't know. After all these years of playing basketball, street ball. I don't know.
Anyways, not. There's no breaking of any ankles in this game. There's no move called breaking ankles.
Yeah, actually, on the smaller points, I think one thing that stuck out to me in the very beginning when we played it, and we were like learning it, right, reading through the rules. First off, I think my overall thoughts on this, and I said this before we recorded, I think the game can be refined in a lot of ways. And that's kind of the main point against it, right? It's a lot of these small points that add up where it's like, I think we both said, like, the idea of this basketball game is here and it's kind of cool, especially what you're saying, the mind game parts we were just talking about. But like just how it was produced and such, I wish they could have done more. I mean, they're small. They're definitely like a small studio, so I understand it is very much like a Kickstarter feeling kind of game, indie kind of game. But man, I could like it a lot more if production things were done.
Are you sure you don't like the dented tin like that?
So my tin, if you can't tell, arrived dented. Like I think mainly, there that bottom part you can see. And I didn't want to complain to them because again, they're small. They sent it, I believe, like I said, they're from New Zealand, so maybe it came from there. I mean, not New Zealand, sorry, Singapore. Wow, Singapore.
No offense. Everyone.
And then actually, I'm gonna look it up too while we're talking later on, but I'll try to look up where they're from. I'm gonna keep saying Singapore for now. But yeah, like tins are bad. like just to be blunt with like even how the Dice Tower, Tom Vasila said it a long time ago, like they're bad. Like they're not a good shape, right? Like because the way the lid works, right? They're not like boxes, so they don't fit into a collection well. They don't sit well on their with other games. And then yeah, the denting can't be undone. Like even if a cardboard box is dented, it's like that's a little more understandable. It's usually maybe just the corners, but to actually have like something metal and possibly glossy dented, it's just very obvious, you know. And then fitting everything in here, like the cards fit, but then the rules being this page, you think it's like nice that it's short, but like you can see all my edges are like bent because it doesn't actually fit. You have to like curl it into the box, so into the tin. So just don't use a tin. And then back to what I was saying about the rules, you know, like just one page, like it seems fine, but
it's an essay.
Text,
it's a 95-point essay.
All the text, you know, it's like I'm the one who has to learn games whenever I'm playing games with friends on
yeah, because we just have you explain it to us.
I've skimmed through obviously and read a lot of rules over the years, but I don't want to read this.
It's like what 9-point font too, right? It's like
it's
unreadable unless it's like right next to your face or something. Yeah, it's so small.
I mean, yeah, it's just it's all right organized, but like, you know, there's like no room for then other pictures to see like how the setup actually looks like. It just has pictures of like understanding the cards, but you know, pictures of like what arranging the cards after a pass would look like, or even just like the very first setup shot that would help.
Yeah.
So yes, those are kind of production issues that hurt it. But then I mentioned I tangented to all of those because I was talking about the what I was gonna get at is when we were first learning the game, something that's very different and surprising and took some adjustment was that it's a basketball game, but you have to visualize the game happening, right? Which isn't a problem really, actually, after you learn the rules. But in learning it, the fact that there's no board, when you think of like a sports game and then there's always like a court or something, you know, like visually you could see players playing on it. Since you don't have that, you don't have any of that movement actually in a physical space, it comes down to you being able to imagine what's happening, right? Like I'm playing one card, so I know I moved a meter closer. And I played another card and I moved a meter closer, which I can imagine. But again, you have to go into it knowing that there's no other indication for you aside from that you played cards, meaning you moved closer to the basket. And so that was yeah, a rough adjustment in realizing that it is just done with cards. But it's not too bad if you have a good imagination, I guess.
No, I mean, like you say meters, like I totally forgot about meters. I didn't even know the meters are a unit. I just remember I gotta get close enough to a certain number and then shoot the ball. So I guess that's probably it speaks to the design. I mean I guess the lack of my imagination and the need for further assistance on the game's part to help me visualize what I'm gonna do. But yeah, I mean, I think if we're going on still on the, it's not really theme, but I guess production. I'm going to move forward into like a bit of the theme. Now on the bad side, I guess my main issue was it's called out style, right? But the style it's just another point. It's like, like, I don't know why they had to incorporate style. If they didn't have style, I think the game probably wouldn't be that much worse without it. If you just had to make like 2 goals. I think, one of the win conditions, make 2 baskets or like 42 points style wise. But I don't know how much the game would have lost if you just didn't include style. I still don't really understand much the style aspect to it. But I mean, that's just me. And if since I'm on the theme train now, I think Yes, it is a 1v1 game, but I would have liked to see the players that we've had control over do more because
Mm.
they typically just have one ability. It's like a one-time use thing. But and maybe I'm expecting too much, but in real basketball, you don't just go like, "Hey, LeBron, come over here, shoot the ball, and go sit back down." Like that's not how basketball works. They actually pass with each other and like interact these characters. But it would obviously make it for a more complicated game. But like, I would have liked to see the players do a little bit more than add a little bit ability here. Though I mean, yes, players are known for maybe a signature move, but like they also don't just perform their signature move and sit back down on the bench. Like that's pretty bad player. You should probably trade them. But yeah, so I didn't like that bit. And so yeah, would have liked to see a little bit more of that. And
I think on the point of the idea of the style points, I do kind of like it because it's kind of what makes it different from makes it like street ball.
Oh, that's true.
Right, versus like straight up
that is true.
NBA kind of basketball. But I think it might have been better to go the other way instead of like taking out like the points that you're getting for those cards, like to actually like write on it a name of that move.
There was no style move. It was just like
it's just like the points on the top of the card. But like, you know, if they called it like between the legs or behind behind the back pass or you know something like that. That would have added a bit to it.
That'd be a little
nicer, you even have something to read when you play it. You know, it's like I'm gonna dribble like this around you and dribble like this around you and
so that would have been nice. Again, going back to the point where it's a nice foundation, but maybe it was the tin limiting everything. But
I mean, there was like other small stuff like in the rules.
There's like alley-oop, right?
There's like there's like a way to do alley-oop, which is kind of cool, like shooting right after you pass. But then I think an issue was like there's this chart in the rules for how much lockdown is added based on how far the offense is from the basket, because like lockdown can kind of be, you know, you can imagine it as like how hard it is to shoot at that point, and including the idea of the defense being in your face. But then the problem is like the chart for how much lockdown is added based on your distance or how many cards you've played so far. It's only in the rules, so you kind of have to keep the rules open to reference that. Or they included this reference card of it. But the issue was that then the numbers on this are actually different from the rules. And I don't know if that was addressed in a Kickstarter update that I didn't pay attention to, but that should not be the way the game is produced, at least, you know, like, I don't know if I needed to print out an errata later, but yeah, that was also, that kind of threw us off too. We're like, wait, what? It actually is different here. Like it
was like, which one would you follow?
And so we had to kind of just decide on one to use. One of the,
but we decided, and then I won, so I was quite happy with that decision. I mean, it was also really short. I don't know if I would like. Did you like the duration of the game? Like, I felt like it was a little bit too easy. But
yeah, it was short because it ended by style points, right?
Yeah, I won by style points.
Yeah, and it was like, and that was the surprising part because I think I made a basket.
You made one.
But then you still just won by style. Where it's like, I mean, it's,
I don't know.
It's not necessarily that I have an issue with how short it was, because I think being such a small game, you don't want it to drag out, being the same thing over and over. So I think the experience of doing these mechanics we've been describing in that time frame is good. It just felt a little random that, like, I think it's 42 style points to win. It's like, where'd that number come from? You know, like it wasn't just a number they chose to keep it within a certain time frame, you know.
Maybe.
And so that was just a small thing that felt weird to me. It's like time wise I was okay with it, then we could even quickly play it again, but then just kind of design wise, like, why 42? That's just really random. If that's just the number you tested with the other numbers on the cards, I don't know.
Maybe
but something I really did like once you can imagine this playing a card is moving closer, which again, I don't think is too hard if you have a good imagination.
What?
But you build up your imagination playing these board games and stuff. Work on imagining.
Oh yes. Yes.
Yeah,
I
gotta
didn't mean by
let your
that.
mind kind of wander to these things
What?
sometimes. The creative parts.
No creativity.
Something I did like a lot was like on the offense cards that have the style points, the skill points, and then the lockdown. I really like this idea of the lockdown on the cards because it's kind of this idea of, like I described before, thematically you can think of it like the defense being in your face, but then since it's on the offense cards, it's kind of that's your planning part, like your decision making, where it's like I could play a card that maybe is worth more skill, so less likely that the defense can play a card to steal from me, or it's a card that is more of a stylish move, so then I get more style points, but then the lockdown is higher. And so it's just, I think it's clever that it's on the offense's card so that they have to decide how much lockdown are they willing to build up in playing their card. And then adding to obviously when to pass and reset the lockdown also.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I do think that's a very clever mechanic that's also very thematic and fitting with the game, giving right decision points.
Yeah. No, I think, again, going back to I have a lot of really good things going for them with like balancing like how powerful the offense is with the concept of a lockdown. And I guess, if you're playing multiplayer, then multiplayer basketball, unlike what we're doing here, it's a single player and then we're renting players that shoot a ball and sit back down. Like you do get like, as players aggregate to one side of the court, just the sheer number of people in I guess my math brain's coming up, in a score, like a confined area gets higher, the density gets higher, so your likelihood of getting blocked or having a defensive player get in your face is higher, and therefore lockdown is a good measurement or portrayal of that. So no, I think, going back to the good kind of base fundamentals done well, but not multiplayer for sure. Like you're not even controlling multiple players. That'd be kind of interesting. Like if you had an actual court. I mean, but then, okay, you can't really use your finger and go like, we're going to be moving LeBron this way, and then we're going to play someone else, Anthony Davis this way, and then like, unless you make a grid, that'd be...
Well, yeah, their volleyball game has a grid.
Oh, really?
And positions for the players on a volleyball court.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, but yeah, it would be kind of harder, I think, with the basketball theme. Yeah. I do like the art, like in your background. I think it is a stylish kind of art, and it also has a little bit of like superpower look to it sometimes with some of the characters. But I think that gives it a cool look too. So art wise, I do like how it looks. But yeah, I think those are all my thoughts on it. I don't know if you had anything else.
No, that's pretty much it.
But overall, it seems like it's like a lot of these small production things adding up, and then some of the mechanics either maybe not being thematic or maybe wanting to be a little more thematic. With like the players and like the dribbling cards and such. All those kind of things I think add up to hurt the game, even though there is a good basketball feel, like that idea is very much here in the game. So yeah, that's kind of, I think, how both of us feel about it. It has the idea there, but just could have refined a lot of these smaller points. And so, yeah, if you found this useful, helpful, interesting, or curious about this game, you could at least even see the details on their Kickstarter page. You can just go to Kickstarter and look up Outstyle, and you can even look up the game when it was on Kickstarter. And I think you could, did you search this on Amazon or something, or you could purchase it?
Oh,
I forgot if you did. You looked up Shake Up, their other game, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is available on Amazon or if it's like on their website or such. But yeah, if you are curious, you can look into that, and hope you'll share this video with friends, family, people you play board games with. Consider subscribing to this channel and following us on Instagram at I Got Board Game. And until next time, we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.